Now, what we had is we went till CP, I think we went till commercial paper, and I showed you the first diagram of CD and CP, how different it is today. After that, I went to CP rates. There is a low rate and a high rate every day. There is a low rate and a high rate at the end of every month, and you can calculate that at the end of every year, creating a base price or whatever, an average. Now, I come to CD now. Now, look at the CP rates. They had a hump. There is a hump around 94, 95 hump, 94, 95 hump. Then it came down 95, 96. It has been coming down. Recently, past few years, again it has a tendency to go up, except 1 year it fell, 1 or 2 years it fell, all right. 2 years it fell from 2007, 8, 9, 9, 10, again 10, 11, 11, 12, they are going up. This is the CP rate. Now, look at the CD rate. There are few spikes right in the beginning of this data period, around 95, 96, then 97, 98, 2 spikes are there CD, and they have come down, and what you see is the low and the high are nearly equal and they are going up. This part is similar to the CP. If you go back to the previous diagram, it is very similar to the CP, going up and down again. So, the markets are behaving more or less same in the recent years, all right. There is one downswing and then going up like a business cycle. The point why I am making this is that often it is said the CP and the CD markets are very similar. They have a similar feature. If you open your notes, you will see that the Reserve Bank guidelines are very similar, not exactly same, similar. The most important difference is that CPs are sold by one group of economic agents who are different from the CD sellers. CDs are mainly banks and some non-banks, but CPs are companies. And financial companies are also there. Yes, non-banks can be there. Okay. Now, often they are compared with each other. So, the rates are like this. So, what I did, if they are compared, now I did individual comparison. First, I took the low CD, compared it with the low CP. Do you see one thing? The last few years, they are moving like like twin brothers, they are very close to each other. Low values देखिए कितना मजा है. People say they are similar, the two markets. They are similar, which is not clear from the previous diagrams. Now, look at this plot, the next plot, the high is very similar, except there is a difference coming in the CD rate, the CP rate. CP rate is higher than CD, which says that the companies are finding it costlier to borrow money. And this is where the criticism is presently, that you are choking off investment. With the kind of policies you are having in the country, you are choking off investment, and companies are finding it very difficult. They talk about subdued private corporate business, what we call business investment. Then they talk about other kinds of investment being substituted, like residential investment. Then you have these banks, interest rates are generally being very high, and you have high CRR. So, naturally, if high CRR is there, banks would automatically charge a high loan rate, because high CRR means what? If banks are profit maximizers, if you are going to take away their money base and put it in Reserve Bank, they would try to make as much as possible from the remaining amount, all right. So, this supply reduction creates a higher interest rate also. The loan rates are often high. So, there is a complaint presently in Indian economy, in the context of Indian economy, the macroeconomic policies, particularly monetary policies, the way they are being pursued by RBI is not good for private investment. Now, here you can see the last few years, the high CP has remained above CD. It is not the low values so much. The low values are like really very close to each other, but the high values are slightly different. Okay. Next is the blue line is the CD line, red line is the CP line. Is that clear? Okay. Now, let us see what are the diagram. Now I come to treasury bills. Now, this is a table, and the last is called the implicit yield. Yield is yield to maturity kind of a number at the selling point of these bills. Yield is the implicit yield is a way, its formula is slightly complex than the formula I have shown you, the yield to maturity YTM. It is the yield at the cutoff at which these bills, discount bills are sold. Treasury bills are discount bills essentially, they are sold at a discount. Now, if when I looked up RBI tables, they are saying the price at cutoff, cutoff means when they are auctioning, there is a point where they say that is it, this is the price you are going to accept. When you are going to buy or invest in treasury bills, I am RBI selling treasury bills, you banks have come to buy them treasury bills and there is an auction going on. I explained these things to you in class. There is an auction going on and then there is a cutoff when we finally accept a price. As soon as you accept a price, you can also calculate, given the life of the treasury bill, the yield, implicit yield, because you remember that formula, price is equal to the return, the coupon payments on a bond divided by the yield to maturity, the discount factors. So, immediately using an equation like that, you can find out the yield equation RBI uses for government bonds or government uses is slightly different, it is much more complex. I have seen that expression algebra at one place, I just do not have it here. Broadly that concept is the same thing, the yield. Now, what you see here very significant, why I have this table instead of a diagram, I will show the diagrams. This is a 91-day treasury bill you are talking about. I have data here from 96, 97 to 2011, 12, which is how many years it will be, 15 years roughly, 15 years or so. Now, initially early 90s, mid 90s until the century, beginning of this century 2001-2, the second column, you see a number of zero values persisting. This is very significant. That means what is happening when government is announcing sale of 91-day treasury bill and buyers of those bills who are called investors are coming, which are banks and sometimes state governments. You can see who are the buyers, banks, state government, others, there can be other institutions, non-banks, foreign central banks, they also can buy, China buying US treasury bill, this is a common practice. You can buy one government or one central bank or bank of a country can buy other governments treasury bills. Same thing is happening with respect to Indian treasury bills. And then you have the total. What you see here is very interesting, that the RBI column is showing zero values and some foreign central banks also show some zero values. You can see that number of zero values. There is one zero value in case of state government, which is the year 2009-10. 2009-10 has a zero value. 2008-9 recession came, state governments did not have any funds probably, they hit them. So, within a year what you find, state governments did not invest anything in central government treasury bills. They do not have surplus cash. Many state governments run at a deficit, some state governments have surplus. Gotcha. Now, RBI zero column is very important. This talks about, this essentially implies that the RBI has no devolvement issue anymore with 91-day treasury bill, because 91-day treasury bill would come with a total package in terms of the value or amount that the government needs, cash. For that amount of cash, they are going to sell treasury bills. Now, devolvement issue used to come earlier when the buyers have come and they have bought whatever they want to, but still it is not sufficient from the point of view of what government wanted, the amount of cash. So, what would happen with the remainder, the balance? The balance used to be RBI's devolvement, meaning RBI will have to buy it, no choice. All right. It is like this is very unfortunate. It is like, say, there is some work in office. All right. Now, there are 5 people who are given the freedom to do work whatever they want to do. And after they have worked, they have gone, they have done their work, their share or whatever, there is no fixed share probably. there is something that remains ultimately is the somebody's headache, some manager or a boss who will have to sit, if required, the entire night and finish that work. This devolvement is now gone, meaning what? The market is more free, more open, the banking system, the monetary system has more cash, and whenever government is selling 91-day treasury bill, RBI has no devolvement issue. Everything is sold off. So, suppose I open my shop selling something, all right, I need not worry, like a vegetable market seller. He has plucked those vegetables, he has a devolvement issue there. In a very, very difficult situation can arise. Vegetables are perishable goods. So, he comes to the market, but he cannot sell the entire amount. What will he do with it? He cannot eat the entire amount. Utna bhuk nahi hai. So, he will try to sell them off at a throwaway price because they won't last. This often happens. So, in case of devolvement, RBI was asked to mop up the remaining ones. That is why I have the table. Okay. Now, no, it was earlier sold on tap. Yes, that has been converted into ad hoc bills with a fixed return. I told you they were converted, on tap business was converted into a fixed premium console like thing, where RBI has not promised or government has not promised when they will redeem them. Redeem means what? Redeem means buy them back, end the term. They have become console. On tap is not there anymore. Okay. Now, here I have this line, which of course is a very messy, it does not say anything. The most dominant ones, what you see here is essentially the blue line, the bank line is important in terms of percentage buying of government 91-day bills. And what are the other two lines? The red line is the state government, another important buyer, and miscellaneous means everything I put there. Whoever is outside the state government and the banks. One thing is very interesting, the bank line dipped a lot. When did the bank line dip? The bank line started dipping in terms of percentage buying of treasury bills, which is very significant, because this is the captive market, I would explain that, of the government treasury bills. Why is a captive market? Banks have some obligations like SLR, which is coming up in the next topic. In SLR, you have to show to the RBI, just like CRR, you have to show to the RBI so much of bills you have. Now, if you make a compulsion, a compulsory thing for banks to show how much you have invested in bills, and treasury bills are one of them, then like CRR, which you have to report every week, if SLR has to be reported every week with bills investment, they are forced to invest in bills. Now, therefore, RBI or government has been very clever. By making this rule, whenever now government needs money, it sells bills, banks would immediately come, because banks know they have an SLR requirement. Let them buy, it is very safe, risk free, these bills are. So, if we buy them, we do not have any default of kind of a possibility. Second, we will have to we require them for the SLR. So, it is not only a good investment, we also need them for SLR. But very interestingly enough, I do not know why, the blue line went down and the state government line went up at the same time, percentage wise, it is out of 100. Around 2005, 6, from 2005, 6, 7, 8, and then after 7, 8, again 8, 9 it has been going up. So, what does it signify that these 4 years 2005, 6, 7, 7, 8 it went down, bank investment purchase of 91-day bill. What was banks doing? That means banks had alternative avenues to make money, and already they had enough bills, other kinds of bills maybe, enough bills. It can be also commercial paper, it can be CDs, whatever, commercial bills also, some commercial bills, first class commercial bills, like Tata's commercial bills, which can be used for SLR, and they also can use semi-government organization bills, bonds, for instance, state electricity boards bonds, railway bonds, they can use them. Air India sells some bonds tomorrow, they can use that, just not government, semi-government organization bonds. So that means the economy, there were more opportunities to invest. So it went down, the economy was doing well actually. The bank share going down, despite being a captive market for government bills, going down is a good news. That means banks had alternative modes of investment, and state governments purchased means state governments had more surpluses. So it makes sense, the economy was doing well. But then what happened in 2008-9 dekho? 2008-9. Doom. State government surplus gone, wiped out. Who stepped in to buy bills? Banks. Now, banks don't have alternative, many available. Not many companies are selling CPs. Banks are not lending much, lots of cash. So what to do with the cash? Go for government bills. It's complementary. It's very complementary, and government also needs cash. Economy is doing well, banks have cash. चलो, और स्टेट गवर्नमेंट जो बहुत मजा में थे, ये रेड लाइन वाला किधर से गिरे देखो, nearly 0% हो गया. So now you understand the whole thing, how it is working, the system. You understand the system by looking at the numbers. It's very clear how the system works for government bills, and he's also talking about, speaking loudly about the macroeconomy. ये देखो तो स्टेट गवर्नमेंट का क्या, ओ ये एक तो जीरो तो हो गया इधर 2009-10 में जीरो ही हो गया, उसके बाद बड़े हैं, टोटल अमाउंट बिकम्स 4 times 2000 total amount, yeah, 6 to 27,000. Why is it so? Why government required so many? Again 11 and 12 तो बहुत खराब चल रहा है, अभी तो हम एक्सप्लेन कर पाऊंगा. लेकिन what happened in 2004 and 5? 2004-5. Why did government had to sell so much of 91-day treasury bill? We have to go into the budget of 2004-5 and find out in 2004-5, which is the first year of the UPA government, why the government required so much extra funding, although the economy was doing well then. Very good point. This is an hunting I have to do. I can explain today, 2011-12. Dr. Manmohan Singh is so panic stricken about excess expenditure, he has raised diesel prices. He is going to raise the PDS sugar prices by doubling it. That was the news yesterday. Because subsidies are costing government a lot. It's just not the finance minister doing it, it's Dr. Manmohan Singh there now. Although he is the prime minister, he is back to his old job. Being the finance minister, economy is in such a bad shape, which when I started keeping track of Indian economy, he was the finance minister, I knew how he acts. He goes into a fourth gear mode suddenly, which he did, otherwise all these things wouldn't have happened. He cannot do it slowly, that's why they suffered so much. They were not doing anything. So now the question is, now why the government is trying to sell so much of bills, I understand, because the budget is a huge deficit. But why in 2004-5, I don't have an answer. We have to look into that. It may be some social sector expenses they declared a lot, because if you remember, the Narega thing became very important and multiplied with the UPA government. So the social sector may have required a huge extra amount of expenditure, for which despite the economy doing well, it went into a lot of borrowing. This is called borrowing. Could be, but I have to check the budget. If you can open the budget, if you find out the economic survey of 2000, what is the year? 2000, Economic Survey 2004-5, you will find some explanation. Definitely it's there. Economic Survey 2004-5, you open that, you get an answer for your question. Definitely. Because Economic Survey 2004-5 would review the economy till December. Economic Survey does not have the information on 3 months of that financial year, which is January, February, March. It will be the previous financial year's 3 months, last 3 months, and the 9 months of the current financial year, total 12 months. Because all the data they get by December, all analyzed, assimilated, and the Economic Survey in printed form comes out in March or February, depending upon when the budget is. So, 2000 is on Ministry of Finance site, Economic Survey. If you open that, you will get 2004-5 Economic Survey will have an answer for what happened. So, this is the situation. Who knows why? I really do not know. Look at this thing. This is a very another interesting information is there. This is how you read data. Look at the foreign central bank since when it has become 0 number 7, 8, 8, 9, 9, 10, 10, 11. What is it saying? World economy is in trouble. Foreign central banks do not have much surplus to invest in Indian treasury bills. There is a lot of buying going on. So, some central banks have money. So, which are the economies? That data is not available. That detailed data is not available. To go to RBI and ask them, open your data set and tell me who are the central banks buying your treasury bills now. So, we would know which are the economies in the world are reviving. This is how you read the information. There is a lot of information here. I have given you this table instead of the lines. The lines are one kind of appreciation you can have. The one I had, how state bank fell, the banks fell buying and the percentage of state governments went up and then it reversed. What does it mean? Why is it reversing? Another information is foreign central banks. Another information I told you about RBI zero values. So, now share of purchase of 91-day bill, so I have shown that to you. Year end outstanding amount, total value of bills outstanding means what? The new ones that you have sold and the old ones that are still not being redeemed. Their life has not ended, it's still lying. So, you still hold, as a government you still hold public funds which you borrowed in the past, plus the fresh funds you got this period in a year by selling new bills, fresh bills, and some old bills which have not been redeemed. Redeemed means the life have not ended. You are still holding public money, you have to return the money. So, year end outstanding amount, do you see here a very significant story? Which one has taken over? Very important message here. 91-day bill has like a step ladder, has taken over. Look how it has systematically taken over, and the green line went down. Now it is going up a little bit and the red one going up. Of course, government is selling a lot of bills. Deficit, government is running at a deficit. The selling of bills are going up. Yes, yes, Paridhi. Huh? How will it return the money? Achha. I am going to come to that debt trap. This is called debt trap. That issue I am going to come in a second. But do you see here the tendency of the government now? It is just not government selling more bills. Of course, they are going upwards. If you have a trend line, the trend lines will show they are going up. The 364-day was going down a little bit, then picking up again last year. The red line, which is the 182 going up, the 14-day bill not to be seen anymore because it was discontinued after a few years. 14-day bill बेचारा उतनी दूर तक जाके बंद हो गया. 14-day bill. The red bill, do you see the red line, a discontinuous line? In your notes you will find, I told you that the 182-day bill was discontinued for a few years. 364-day was brought in. Once that settled, again they brought back 182-day. In your notes you will find that, I told you. So, there is a discontinuous red line here. The blue line, the oldest form of bill in India, Treasury bill 91-day, it is picking up. Why is it so? You think the 91-day is selling more than 364 day. This is a people choice also. It's the net market result. In a market, the net result is the price and the quantity which is both bought and sold. So, it's just not reflecting how much consumers want to buy, it also reflects how much producers want to sell. Together you have a supply demand framework, and therefore, the net result you get. This is a net result. Government wants to sell bills, no devolvement on RBI. The 364 day by definition 182 day has no devolvement, because they come to the market without government saying how much we want to sell. You sell whatever amount. So, they no devolvement issue. The devolvement issue was there with 91 day, and you have seen a zero value there. So, market has enough liquidity to buy them. The question is, what is the net amount, final result, final amount they have bought? What you see here is the selling of bills in India is the shorter term doing more business, the blue line doing more business than the green line or the red line. So, longer duration bills are selling less, shorter duration bills are selling more, right? Clear message? Why is it so, you think? I think the reason is the returns are not very good. So, government or people who have cash parking them temporarily and hoping that another avenue will open up and invest them later there. So, we have to check the returns. Maybe that is one of the reasons. ठीक है, in economy is in a recession, we do not have many good avenues to invest. All right, stock market is always very uncertain. The government gilt edge market is a good place to go and invest, but which one should we prefer? Put our funds there for 1 year, put our funds there for 6 months, or put our funds there for 3 months? What the preference is among public is for 3 months right now. You can have risk credit models explaining it, financial economics models. This is a classic case of consumer choice for some products which are risk free, but the time duration, maturity matters to people. Maybe not the financial economics model, some other model. This is not a stock market investment. Stock market, all shares are risky, but which is more risky, which is less risky, we have to weigh. It's talking about a gilt edge market. It's a zero risk, and the choice is between the term, the maturity period of the bill. Should I go for 1 year investment? Should I go for 6 months investment in government bills, or should I go for a 3-month government bill? It's very interesting they are selecting 3 months. The businesses has picked up a lot. All right. So, now we need to look into the implicit yield. Let us see the yield, the return kitne hai at this time of, at the point of selling the bill. Cut off. जब auction हो रहा है, when they are being auctioned, what is the cut off? When they are being auctioned, what is the cut off? Okay. Look at the implicit yield. It's very interesting. The implicit yield is not bad at all. The last few years implicit yield, 2008-9 it came down, 2007-8 peaked, 2006-7 peaked, 7-8 it is coming down, 8-9 coming down, 9-10 it troughed, 9-10, 10-11 going up, 11-12 going up, last 2 years going up implicit yield. Previous to that, 3 years it has steadily fell, last 2 years is going up, means what? The prices of these yields, and one thing, 2 points, right? The yield is similar, number one, very similar.
So what is implicit yield?
Implicit yield means that yield to maturity, which I told you. When you are selling at a price, instrument which has a more than one period maturity, you have a polynomial from which you can solve for an unknown in the denominator, which is the I, 1 plus I, 1 plus I square, 1 plus I cube. That is the yield, yield to maturity. It is sometimes called implicit yield, but government has that I definition much more complex, but that is basically the concept is. So, left hand side is P is equal to a polynomial with a fixed value in the numerator, maybe the face value of the treasury bill, divided by 1 plus I square up to maturity. Say here it will be monthly, that time period will be month. 3 months. So, 91-day bill would end after 3 months. Only 3 components on the right hand side. Then 6 month 182-day will end after roughly 6 fractions there on the right hand side, and 364-day is roughly 1 year. So, it will be 12 fractions there. Now, what do you see? Despite different maturity, the polynomial degree is different. The yield to maturity at cutoff is very similar, unbelievable, this diagram. They are moving together, moving up. Now, when they are moving down means at that time the price at which the cutoff took place was high. Now, the price has come down and the yield has gone up, means the investors are buying the bill at a lower price. When does it happen? Very simple, when the supply is more than demand. The supply of these bills from the government side has increased. Government is requiring more and more cash, which is the case why diesel prices are going up, because government expenditure is going up a lot compared to the revenue. In a recession, in an economy, tax revenues won't be increasing so much. We have a growing economy still, so tax revenues are increasing at some rate. We don't pay taxes, that's the problem. The unorganized sector doesn't pay at all. The organized sector also doesn't pay taxes. The government's expenditures, if they are going up through subsidies and this and that, how is going to balance the budget? By borrowing. So, it seems to be the last 2 years government has been selling more, larger and larger amount of treasury bills, and therefore, the cutoff price is becoming lower and the implicit yield is going up. But very interesting, despite 3 distinct preferences in terms of amounts that the public are buying and the banks are buying these bills, which you saw in the previous slide, that the 91-day is selling more than 364-day, the second preference is 364, and the third preference is 182-day, the red line, but the implicit yield is the same. So, I guess this is the reason. If the implicit yield is same, why would I keep the money for 1 year? I keep the money, the same return I get for 3 months and look for another avenue. If the return from the 364-day were higher, I would have bought 364. But the 3 महीने के लिए जो return per month मिलेगा, 6 महीने के लिए वही मिल रहा है, 1 साल के लिए भी वही मिल रहा है. I mean, this kind of a situation is there probably. So, this data makes some sense to you, all right? Okay. So, it's going up, look at how it has gone up. Now, I am running out of time again. Now, I come to repo. So, I will just show the repo diagram. This is a fascinating diagram. I am going to come to the repo market. Fantastic diagram, this one. Repo market is fascinating. You can see the repo cutoff now. This is the not the yield, this is the price, the repo rate, all right. At वो जो गवर्नमेंट अनाउंस करते हैं, रिवर्स रेपो रेट 4.5%, रेपो रेट 4% और रिवर्स रेपो रेट 8.5%. This is RBI transaction in repo under a scheme called Liquidity Adjustment Facility, LAF. This is not the market repo where banks are having a repo transaction among themselves like the call market, all right. It is the repo market data on RBI's repo transaction with the banks, which is announced on TV when RBI governor announces a new policy. Recently, they lowered the CRR, just something, few weeks, 1 week back probably, lowered the CRR, kept the repo rates unchanged probably. These are the things they did. I have that repo and reverse repo. A couple of points, quick points. Do you see that there is a green interjection? So, if I remove the green interjection, this diagram would be much more clean. The blue line is the repo and the red line is the reverse repo. do you notice that the repo line and the reverse repo line are distinctly different? And what you see is that the reverse repo is lying below the repo. Why is it so? Simply because it's the RBI operated repo market, where RBI looks at banks when they have surplus cash by doing them a favor by telling, okay, we will give you some interest, give that cash to me, we will hold it for a month, for a day, 6 months or whatever. बैंक बेचारा बैठे है, कोई खरीदार नहीं है कैश लेके, तो रिवर्स रेपो का रेट कम। और जब बैंक बताते सर मेरे पास कैश नहीं है, क्या किया कैश लेकर, where has the cash gone? When they come to RBI for borrowing, then they charge a higher interest rate. और जो फेवर कर रहा है कुछ, ऑलराइट, बैंक बेचारा सब बैठे, कोई बिक नहीं रहा, अच्छा ठीक है मैं खरीद रहा हूँ कुछ, कम भाव करो. It's clearly the repo rate is above the reverse repo. Look at it. Repo means injection of cash. Banks want money, they don't have. Comes to RBI. Repo transaction. Reverse repo, bank bechara, RBI is bailing them out. All right. So there you have a different approach. The interest rate is different. Now the call market rate I put here, because often the call market is a place where banks also go for cash, if they need cash, or they lend whoever needs cash. So people say the call market directly competes with the repo market. So what I've done is the call market I plotted along with the two repo rates. By doing that, we see a very interesting thing. There are minor more fluctuations since April 8. Look at the data I have. April end is the monthly data, April 8 to December 11, okay? And then it has gone to March 12, which is not written there on the x-axis. I have data up to March 12, financial year 11-12, from April 8. So I have started this data series, plotted, beginning of that famous financial year 8-9, month of April. Do you see after month of April, is there a major change right in the beginning, a spike? What is the spike that you notice? The green line. What's the month? August. That same famous call market rate gone up. August, recession hit, formally announced in the Western world, the depression-like recession. The repo and the reverse repo, not much, except the blue line has a little bit hump there, which means banks were requiring a little bit more cash. So it did went up a few months, but then it came down, and then they are two like brothers and sisters. They move together. But this is not a flat line. It came down up to December 9, April 10 even. After that, after April 10, 10, 11, 11, 12, it has been steadily going up. 10, 11, 11, 12, last 2 years, it's been going up, both the nines. So the repo has become more expensive, reverse repo has also become more expensive. These are month-end high call rates which I have put. But one thing you see after the big bump there, a spike, the call market is saying, well, I'm a jittery function, nervous, I'm more restless. Repo guys are more steady, all right, I'm more restless, but I lie very near to you. Do you see that? I lie very close to you. I'm not very far away from you. In the pre-recession years data when I was using, all right, when I first plotted this course, I used to plot the repo, reverse repo underneath. The call rate was between this gap, fantastic it was. Call rate was between this gap, you can see up to some point it is between the gap, and then it is having a spike up a little bit. The low may still be between it. The high is above it. If you do an average, which I have probably month end, no, it's a month end high. If I put an average, it will come closer to the blue line. This is the famous interest rate corridor. Government or RBI, I should say RBI is trying to make the short-term money market competitive. So the call market and the repo market, they all compete with each other. And they create a corridor-like thing through which the short-term interest rates, various interest rates are here. Repo rate is an interest rate, reverse repo rate is an interest rate, call rate is an interest rate, then the CP/CDs are also interest rates. So they wanted to create a short-term corridor for short-term interest rates like call rate and repo rate. This is called the corridor, interest rate corridor, famous. But one thing you see, these difficult years, the corridor wall is broken a little bit. The highs call rate are crossing, going above the ceiling. But earlier data when I used to plot, they were all very close together. The repo ja raha hai, reverse repo ja raha hai, call rate uske beech se ja raha hai. It was beautiful. That beauty doesn't exist. Maybe in recession is a difficult time when people are ill, their concentrations fluctuate, they are not like normal persons functioning so steadily, etc. So I guess RBI is marginally failing to keep that corridor intact, but still it's not a bad time.